Hey, what is going on YouTube? Mike here from Team BRY and welcome back to another video. Now, this picture was taken on a sunny afternoon on the way to Camden Market here in London. It was shot using the ultra-wide lens on the Pixel 6a, which is Google's newest smartphone at the moment. That is of course until we get the Pixel 7 and the 7 Pro later this year. Now, while the Pixel 6a has gotten some criticism for its lack of a high refresh rate display, I do think that the phone more than makes up for this shortcoming with the Google Tensor chip as well as some impressive camera performance. We actually have an unboxing and first impressions video of the Pixel 6a here on this channel in case you want to check that out. For this one though, let's take a quick look at what the Pixel 6a has to offer when it comes to camera performance. Let's get started. Now, before we continue, I just want to emphasize that I am not a professional photographer and I usually just stick to mobile photography on my smartphones. We've handled a lot of Google Pixel devices here on the channel and every single time I am impressed with what they're able to do when it comes to camera performance thanks to some nicely optimized computational photography. I'm going to leave some links below to some of our other Google Pixel camera content in case you want to check those out. With that said, let's get to the video. Alright, so let's talk about the hardware on the Pixel 6a for a bit. The phone comes with a pretty basic camera setup, similar to what you'll find in some of the older Pixel A series models. On the back, you'll find a dual camera setup which consists of a 12.2 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra-wide lens, and an 8 megapixel camera for selfies and video calls. By all accounts, the hardware on here isn't that impressive. After all, we've seen a lot of other mid-range phones feature cameras with higher megapixel counts, but one thing to note is that Google's computational photography plays a big role in how photos on the Pixel 6a turn out. Software is largely responsible for processing photos, and this is definitely one of the strong points of this smartphone. For one, the phone does a good job of balancing out contrast and dynamic range, and exposure in well-lit situations isn't too overwhelming. Additionally, photos aren't severely saturated unlike in other smartphone cameras, which tend to give you unnatural saturation in your photos. Portrait shots are spot on as well. They look good overall with clean edge detection in general, although there are certain times when the software does struggle with this. But thankfully though, it's not a common occurrence from what I've seen. Speaking of software, we have Google's impressive Magic Eraser feature on here, which lets you tweak your photos and get a cleaner shot overall. I often use it in situations where doing minor edits doesn't seem too obvious in the final output. Night sight is relatively good. It's not bad per se, but compared to the night sight photos that I've been able to take on the Pixel 6, night sight photos on the 6a have some obvious weak points. Take for example these two shots of the same photo. This one taken on the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE has a lot more exposure and detail, while the same shot on the Pixel 6a has a bit more contrast in darker areas. It should be noted that both pictures were taken on the 12 megapixel main cameras on both phones. Now, this does border on nitpicking, and in general, the quality of low light shots on the 6a is still better than what you get on a ton of run-of-the-mill mid-rangers out there. As for video, based on my experience, I'd have to say that the quality of videos on the 6a remind me a lot of those shot on the 4A5G for example, as opposed to clips filmed on the Pixel 6, as there are times when the camera struggles to adjust lighting and contrast. But on the other hand, video stabilization was very impressive all throughout, and I think that has always been one of the key strengths of Pixel videos. I do have a couple of complaints though. For one, I sometimes get unwanted glare on some of my photos due to the design of the camera module at the back. There's also the lack of motion mode on the camera, which is a shame as those features help the Pixel 6 series stand out from other brands. In closing, photo quality is oftentimes a subjective discussion, but I'd like to think that the Pixel 6a's strong points lie in its cameras. If you're looking for a good point-and-shoot camera phone to take on trips or simply for casual photos, it's a very ideal device. It's not perfect of course, but Google's computational photography gets a lot of things right. Now guys, we do have a lot more Google Pixel content here on Team BRY, so do check out our other videos. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.